The last show of the week, and we are without Jeff today because it is his big day. I think he's 65 or something today. He's definitely a ripe old age. So, how are we getting on? Who's here with us? Oh, that's Angel. Okay. So let's have a quick look through some charts now. Thank you, Angel. Thank you. Hello, Paul. Let's have a look through some charts now. My system is prone to crashing at the minute, and I have ordered a new one, so there'll be a new one arriving relatively soon, but it is being built, so it'll take a little while, and I only ordered it a couple of days ago, so hopefully by maybe the middle of next week I'll be in better shape, but with any luck it won't matter, and I can share my charts without too many problems, and we don't crash. This old system's actually been all right for the last couple of days, so hopefully it'll be all right. So let's have a look what we've got for the day. Now it is Thanksgiving, so it's going to be light volume today, and it does make trading just that little bit more tricky, and probably not one to actually take any trades. If I'm honest, but there are some things that are at relatively interesting levels, and I'll show you a couple of them. Mainly the NASDAQ. I think the NASDAQ's in a great little sell area here. If we consider what's been going on, we know that there are really two conditions with trading. We've got ranges, or we've got trends. And the NASDAQ, when it gets going, just goes, and it goes and goes and goes, and it just doesn't stop. And that's really what we saw over the last, I suppose, well, certainly from this low point here. So for the whole month, it's just been trending. This is the end of October. Let's have a look when we saw the last range, probably in here. You know, there was a little bit of a range there, and a little bit of a range there, I suppose you could say. But then it has just been going and going. Look at this trend on the NASDAQ. Breaks the high, comes back, tests the breakout area, and goes. Now, this is the perfect definition of a trend. And if anybody's really unsure about what I mean by that, just let me know, and I'll kind of go through it, because this is the condition you're looking for. These are the perfect types of trends that to get into. If you can get into these, you'll always make money. And I'm not saying that's easy, and you obviously have to kind of put in some other indicators. But as I say, if you guys want me to go through what I mean by that, just post in, could you expand, and I'll go through what I mean by that. Otherwise, I'll just assume you guys know what I'm talking about. So we've seen this with the NASDAQ. Now what we've got is a big move down, and now we made this little area here, actually a big move down. We made this area here as a high. We made this low here. Then we've kind of come back, didn't manage to make the same high, but we did come back and make the same low. Now we're at the area where if this is going to turn into a range, this needs to make the same high. Now we got a few other things here. What do we got? I think we need this. This is the NASDAQ futures. So we got price action right on top of this weekly pivot. So perfect area really for us to start to reverse. Now the other thing about this is that there's a little bit of price action here. When we bring this down to the hourly, there's a little bit of price action here, which also suggests that there is a level here. Look at that. So right the way along, you can see, and it's slightly higher. This one is slightly higher. So this is the perfect sell area. Now, if we're looking at this on an hourly and a 4 hourly, that means we're going to take our trigger from a 15 or a 5. So let's have a look at the 15. And the 15 so far hasn't really given us any really nice clear price action. What we do have is this trend here. So when we're sort of like thinking about the trends, there's a trend here. So there was a little range in here, it burst forward, and then we get this trending kind of environment. So it would have to break this low really before we can say that there is a short to be taken on the Nasdaq, and then we put stops at the high. So that this is really the process that I would go through for any trade. Can I find a support and resistance level on any time frame, on whichever time frame, and then go down a couple to try and get the trigger. So you can see that so far it's being supported here. This level might be a little bit lower. Let's see what that gives us. At the minute, it looks like it's this low here. So Nasdaq under 63.85 would trigger some downside. And then if that was the case, you've got around about 50 pips to the upside, at least the daily pivot to aim for, which would give you near enough a 2.5 to 1. And I say at least the daily pivot, because on top of that, you could actually aim just that little bit lower. You could come down and see if you can hit these lows again, which I have to say, to my mind, is likely. What we've had is a big push to the upside with the Nasdaq, which everybody knows that's been going on. Admit you and admit you. There we go. Sorry to leave you in the room there, John. I've just realised I am the host today, so I'm doing everything. So, to my mind, the Nasdaq comes all the way back down here and probably beyond. Now, if we look at this on a larger kind of time frames here, if we look at this on the daily, what we've had also with the Nasdaq is this breakout area here. Now, this was the last time that the Nasdaq found some genuine resistance, real resistance, where it came from top to right the way down. Now, so far, this area hasn't been tested. It was close, but that is near a 1%, move away from this particular level. So that would suggest to me that we are still looking to test here, and particularly because we're so high. You look at the run in the Nasdaq, the run the Nasdaq's had. It's going to become more likely that this area has got to be tested, because it's just getting a bit lofty up here. Now this week, by tomorrow, this bar could look either way. It might look relatively bullish back at the top end of the range, or it might actually tomorrow start to come down. Yesterday's trading. Hi, John. Yesterday's trading saw quite low volume in some respects because it was going into Thanksgiving. You're in the Nasdaq. Are you short, John, by any chance, or are you long? Oh, well done, mate. Well done. To the upside or downside? You're taking profit. Sure, fantastic. That's really good. I think there's got another chance to come down. Now, again, if anyone wants me to go through reasons why the Nasdaq is, I think the Nasdaq is going to be coming down, post it in the chat box, and I'll go through some of the reasons that I think we see some stress in the equity market over the course of the next couple of weeks. It's a little bit tricky because the equity market has still got that feel that it's likely to rally into the end of the year. So even though I think this area probably gets tested over the course of the next couple of weeks, maybe the next couple of days, I still think that there's probably one more high to be made, or at least this here. And really what I'd like to look for is I'd like to look for this. I'd like to look for the Nasdaq to come all the way down from this area down to here, all the way down here, create a neckline. Now this is on the weekly chart, then pop up one more time back to the original level that I think is got a likely to be tested around about 15,700 700, and then start to create a head and shoulders pattern. Then from there, it depends what happens. It could do that and then get a much deeper retracement and a much deeper move, or it could just start to go in that direction again. But I'd be looking for it to make a head and shoulders pattern. And if that was to happen, now this is on the weekly chart, but if that was to happen, that would lead us to around about February next year. And that's what I'm looking for, really. The NASDAQ to start looking to make signs and signals for a move lower around about February next year. Now, the reason for that is that this is when we are going to see an acceleration, potentially an acceleration in the taper, and possibly they might start to move that interest rate hike date forward a little bit as well. So there's a couple of things that would kind of point me in the direction of NASDAQ weakness, and there's a couple of things that would suggest to me that it would be really good. It'd be better if we can start to kind of ease back in the NASDAQ initially, and then around about February create some sort of reversal pattern. Now, it's eminently difficult to trade the NASDAQ short. It really is tough. So if you're in, John, and you've already taken profit and you've got a chance to hold on to that, well done to you, mate, because it's a tough one. It really is a difficult market to short, because it's made up of Amazon, it's made up of Microsoft, it's got Facebook, it's got, you know, all of the big Apple, it's Tesla, it's got all of the companies that are the most expansive. You know, these are the companies that are innovative and are the companies that, when COVID hit, people turned to the likes of Netflix and Zoom and companies like that, you know, to be able to continue to function. So NASDAQ seems relatively bulletproof in many respects, and that's why it's a difficult one to short. However, if you do get in a short on it, it will probably come down pretty hard and pretty fast. These levels are over elevated and these levels are overpriced. And what I mean by that is that at this particular stage, money is still very, very cheap. And because it's very, very cheap, the NASDAQ makes a lot of sense. But when the money becomes more expensive and you start to get more value for your dollar, then this is when the tech companies that have probably got quite high borrowing costs will come under some stress, and some earnings will come under some stress. So this is the NASDAQ. Now, the S&P is made up of NASDAQ's got 100 stocks in it. The S&P's got 500 stocks in it. And really, one of the reasons the S&P might start to be dragged to the downside is because a lot of those companies. I've got John sitting, not John, sorry, Lewis. Where's Lewis? Is he in? Yeah, he's in. There's a lot of those companies that that are in the S&P as well from the NASDAQ. So that's why I think the S&P might also ease to the downside. And even though when money becomes more expensive, the banking and financial sector should do pretty well. So this is when you hear the words from Bloomberg and those others talking about rotation, this is what they're talking about. They're talking about rotating from one sector into another sector. So what is likely to happen is not a stock market crash by any stretch, because the UK economy is in pretty rude health. It's doing pretty well right now, and as the world economy opens up and expands again, there's no reason to suggest that stocks are coming down or indices are coming down. What will likely happen is that that people will rotate out of the growth stocks and go into the financial. So we might not see the likes of Amazon continuing to move to the upside at quite the same rate. It's people will take some profit out of there and put it in over here, and the financials will do well because the if the borrowing costs increase because the Fed raise interest rates, then the banks start to make more money. So then their profit lines start to improve, and it means that their return to investors improves. So so the rotation will be dictated and determined by where investors think that they're going to get the highest return, not from their only from their capital side, but also from dividends. And you really want to go with a company that has got, is doing better on margins, because if they're doing better on margins, then they're going to be able to return the investors better yield. And maybe the margins could be a bit squeezed with the NASDAQ, and you might start to see the financials actually improve the margins relatively significantly. It depends on how fast they raise those interest rates. But if they're going from one day and somebody's walking into a bank and saying, I want a mortgage, and they say, okay, it's going to cost you 3% a year. And then the next day they're saying it's going to cost you 4% a year. The bank hasn't really done anything special. It's just been able to make an extra 1%. So just because those interest rates have raised, but obviously they'll have to pay the Fed a slice of that. So one position, brilliant, mate. Yeah, I'm in the long term. I'm also in the pound Kiwi long. Okay, let's have a look at that. Let's have a look at the pound Kiwi long, because I find the pound quite fascinating in the picture, because the Governor Bailey has also kind of come out and stated that nice move. Oh, beautiful, well done, John. He's also coming out and stated that he's very nervous about inflation. Now, whether they react on that is the big question. Now, what's happened over the last few days is the RBNZ decided to keep interest rates on hold. Okay, so pound Kiwi's in a little sell zone here. So I don't know where you're in, John, but I'd anticipate some retracement on this one, and hopefully you're in at this point here. Now, if we're thinking about this on a 188, oh, lovely job. That looks amazing. Oh, goodness me. Cool, you've got to be pleased with that. That's right at the low. Nice work, mate. Nice work. Okay, let's see where this one could go. If that can break out of that area. Definitely in the sell zone here. We got a little falling wedge. Now that falling wedge is bullish. So let's see what that would suggest. Yeah, looks like this high is on, doesn't it? If it can break the falling wedge. This is really going to be determined by what Bailey effectively comes out and does and says. But well done, John. That really is good. Now look at this. This is the monthly. And interestingly, you've managed to get in right now. I don't know if it's interesting or not. Maybe this is what your plan was. But this is what you've managed to do. You've managed to get in on the low end on the monthly chart here and start to move to the upside. Now, what that would suggest also is that there it would be caged. So you're probably looking at the highs here. I'd say around about the 2 mark, maybe 201 would be achievable here. And particularly because you're in down here, it's just now about holding your nerve and being able to kind of accept it if you go a little bit wrong. And, you know, talking of that, silver, I was in a silver trade. And I'm not saying that this is going to happen to your trade, but what I'm saying is that you know, the psychology here for me was that I got into silver at pretty much 24, 24, but it was slightly, but it was about there. I got into silver here before this run. This ran all the way to the upside. Now, what I was looking to do after getting in here was looking for at least this level up here. You know, that was my plan, you know, and this is the thing about levels. You've got to try and look for them, because that's how we are going to make the most money. But what happened was that this started to move to the upside, and it found its resistance zone here. The same news that has been plaguing the S&P and the NASDAQ struck silver as well. Silver came right back to the downside and took me out. Now the thing is, I wasn't too concerned. Now don't get me wrong, I gave up quite a bit of profit, but I gave up no loss. Now that is more important to me. And this is the thing about your psychology. It really does depend on your approach. It's more important to me not to risk my accounts rather than making big sums of money. I'm not too worried about that. I would have loved to have stayed in it, because my idea was that, you know, this really could get up and beyond not only this point here, but right the way back up to here, but back up to double the price. Now, I still think that that could happen, but I didn't manage to find the low. Simple as that. You know, it would have been lovely to find the low, but I didn't find the low. Now, the point with this is that if you see things start to move significantly lower, because really I should have taken profits up here. Now, as I say, I got out of break even, so there's no loss, but I really should have taken profits up here. But I was looking for this one to hold. It didn't. I thought, well, that's my last sort of like chance saloon for that to hold. It didn't, and now I am out at break even. So manage those stops correctly, and you'll be grand. You're looking at silver at 19. Could happen. The thing with silver and gold is that they do tend to do pretty well when we see that interest rate, that tapering. 19 would get you down. Oh yeah, I mean, I'd be all over that if that was to happen. Yeah, I know what you mean, and I'd be all over that. I mean, it certainly looks at this stage like it could be coming down. So technicals say a possible move lower for silver. It's got a few days to kind of try and hang on here, but this is looking like a little bit of a high test bar here. So looks like it's tested the high, and it might well float down to that particular point. Then I'll be looking for some upside. There is this inverted head and shoulders here. So the next couple of days, or the next few days, are going to be interesting to watch what happens with silver, and same with gold. Same with gold. Gold has really kind of done the same thing, where it has tried to get through this level here, which it did initially, and maybe it still does. It's got 2 days. Gold tops up here, back to 1820. The upside is on, and if the upside is on for gold, it's probably on for silver too. Yeah, nice, John. I think that's a good idea. Because then you can just buy it and ignore it. But yeah, gold potentially could get back up here. What may well happen with gold, and what everybody's going to be watching, I'm sure Jeff will be watching this if he was interested in gold, is this ending down here on this week, then testing this, and then he'd be looking for probably getting in short down there. So gold is got a little way to go to give us that information, I think. Yeah, and it closed on the monthly pivot yesterday, which you would expect to bounce from here, right? I mean, that's the first thing that we should be looking for with gold. Short-term bounce from here. Let's bring this up. Short-term bounce from here. And see if it can start to grab some of those areas back again. And you've also got this trend line here, you know, exactly the same thing with a pound Kiwi with gold. Gold is in a buy zone. No two ways about it. It's in a buy zone. Is it a buy? Well, what do we need to see? We just need to see a higher low. This looks like it could be carving out an inverted head and shoulders on the shorter term time frames. We've already seen this double bottom here. This looks like a little neckline after seeing this. So there's the double bottom there, and there's the neckline of the W pattern there. So that would suggest that we'd see a move that would at least be the sort of size of the W pattern here, which takes us somewhere around here. The problem right now is you put stops at the lows, you're going to get a 1-to-1. And yeah, look at that. That kind of leads us to this point here. So measured move is to here. And at that point, then we might start to see a different pattern. At that point, we might well see this turn into a left shoulder, this be a complex head, and then we might start to see the right shoulder kind of coming round about here. So I think that may well be better, but it's going to depend on the look on that weekly, you know, because if the weekly, if by the end of the week it's below that level that we had, then people will be looking for this point here to be retested for a short. And what I'm talking about is this back again here. So actually, let's put this on the other chart. Let's put that on here and have a look at that on the hourly. Right, it's there. Now it might be a little bit looser than that. Let's have a look how well we can sort this line out. Still on the 4 hourly. Yeah, that looks all right, actually. Here we go. Let's tighten this up here. That looks like it's intersecting quite nicely there. It might be just a little bit lower there. Just so we get the touch here. It's somewhere around there, isn't it? Now, that would suggest that would suggest this neckline. So this looks on. Gold looks on to 1810. Now, at this stage, 1810 is closer than where your stop loss would be. Unless you can have, if this makes a clearer higher low here, then there may well be a chance to get a trade in. Or you could use this trend line, I suppose. Maybe the daily pivot. So a break, maybe a break to the upside and a move down just to be safe. Because the problem is you are in a bit of a sell zone on the hourly. So I wouldn't want to trade it here yet. But this is starting to push through. So it closes above, comes back in the next hour. That would create a buying opportunity with stops at the lows. Stops below the daily pivot, and then you've got that to aim for. So there could be a 2-to-1 today on gold. You know, it looks like that there is an opportunity there. Gold and silver hovering at the end. Yes, they are definitely a bounce. I don't know whether it will get all the way up there. Which pattern, Lewis? Sorry. On which time frame? Every day after the UK Open. What? Something happens with gold? Does it always rally, or does it often rally? I should say. For the past week, it's rallied on the Open. It's dropped on the Open. Okay. This is the Open here, so it's dropped. I mean, we are in a downward movement, so I suppose that's why. I mean, that is a crazy move down. But I would have thought that this would. Now this is the other pattern here on gold, where you've got this. Which suggests that, you know, this might happen instead. It might find some resistance here and then start to come down and create an inverted head and shoulders. I think this line is on, though. I'd be looking for targets here. It's just about entry. You know, this line here looks like it's going to get tested one way or the other. I don't know what the pattern is down here yet. 1750 for you. Okay, let's have a look. Well, you're probably looking on broader time frames here, so 1750. You don't think this will hold here, Lewis? I mean, this looks like an initial bounce to me. But right on, the thing is, there's some price action here plus the monthly pivot, so that would suggest that there's likely to be a hold in this area. But you're looking at 1750. I see what you mean. Yeah, there is a pretty strong horizontal line there, isn't there? Yeah, I think you're right. I think if it breaks this area, the monthly pivot is coming there. I wonder whether it rallies first, though, up to that initial level that we just picked out, and then starts to come to the to this lower level here. So gold and silver are of interest. Now, it depends how this unfolds. And the other thing that we need to discuss a little bit is why this is going on and what's likely to happen next. Because I'm looking at the Nasdaq and the S&P and as potential shorting opportunities. But let's see what happened. I mean, yesterday was pretty significant, really. Preliminary GDP from the United States at 2.1%, so showing growth. But this is the big one. Unemployment claims at 199,000. And when you bring up the chart here, the last time that we saw unemployment claims at 199,000 was back here. Let's see if I can even find it. I think it was all the way back in 2019. Not there. Even beyond. Look at all these anyway. I mean, they're all above the 200 mark. So sub 199, sorry, sub 200s. Oh, there it is. There. January 24th, 2019. So even the start of 2019, nearly 2 years since we've seen that number. So this is really saying, with Jerome Powell and a company talking about why they might need to increase the pace of bond buying, or why they might need to get into hiking interest rates. The big argument has been about the labour market. Well, this really tells you the labour market's in pretty good shape. We need to see more numbers, but this one number, as extreme as it is, under the 200,000, is telling you that the US economy is in pretty good shape. And if it's in this good shape, why shouldn't we see the Fed then react and start to move? So I'm looking out for that, and I'm waiting to hear what happens. The other thing is, he's got another 4 years now, and he's not going to be taken out of that job. So he's a little bit freer to make some more extreme decisions. As it comes into the end of a term, I would have thought that most people would probably play their cards close to their chest, not do anything too extreme, don't want to rock the boat. If you get it right, you're a king. If you get it wrong, you are in the gutter. So it's probably not a good idea to do anything too extreme. But now I wonder whether he might just take the brakes off a little bit. He's I think he's naturally cautious, but I wonder if he might take the brakes off a little bit. The reason that the Nasdaq didn't like what happened with the Powell appointment was that they were hoping for Brainard, who's just a bit more dovish, and because that didn't happen, I think the eyes are now going, okay, things are getting a little bit uncomfortable. They're still okay, but they might getting a little bit uncomfortable. So we'll see what that we'll have the verdict tonight. Oh, if it breaks the yeah. Okay, all right. Well, let's see what goes on with that. Core PCE price index as well, still raising up. So inflation is still a problem here, with labour market starting to improve, suggesting the Fed have got everything they need to do what they need to do and start to reduce the policy a little bit. and University of Michigan Sentiment Index actually slightly better when they reviewed it, the sentiment, but still very, very low. So the consumer is just getting, it's just feeling the pressure. So with the FOMC's main mandate, price control and maximum employment, they've kind of got them both in place to say, well, actually, the obvious thing to do is to do something maybe a little bit faster, because prices aren't in control, and the employment picture is a little bit out of control as well. Sorry, it's getting better. We also had crude oil inventories as well, raising up a little bit. So that sort of suggested that the United States have kind of got more in stock there. And really what we've seen with oil, it hit a level of support, it hit that buy zone, and it started to move to the upside. Now, really, the inventories number is not particularly great for oil if you're looking for further upside in oil. And I can't get rid of this. There we go. Just see my internet isn't the best. Let's go on that one. Really, after this, we might see the push down. Both the United States and Japan have come out and they've said that they will use their reserves to correct the price of oil and not make it so expensive for their citizens. OPEC is the big question. What do they do in response to that? If OPEC cut more supply, oil goes up. But really, on the face of it right now, growth in inventories, just on the face of it, and we've got this announcement from Biden and the premier in Japan, but basically saying that they will start releasing some of their inventories. Then we might start to see oil ease back a little bit further, but we'll see on that. Right. I think 8:30, we're a bit earlier this week because, we have got Thanksgiving, and I don't think because of Thanksgiving, we will probably have a whole bunch of movements in the stock market. So I don't think there's a massive reason to sit around, because we're not going to be taking trades today. I think it's too dangerous. Yeah, I agree with you, Lewis. You're absolutely right. 20 million barrels a day for the consumer, and 5 million is too small an amount. And I suppose the point is that they're doing something. So you're right. They can't really keep up with that. And I wonder whether that was just a little bit of horseplay from Biden. Keeping the release low enough to keep OPEC Plus on side, but just releasing enough to stabilize these prices a little bit. Don't get me wrong, oil to me doesn't seem like it's coming down hard, but I wonder whether we do start to maybe get into a bit of a range, just like we've seen with the NASDAQ as well. Yeah, and all these things are being watched, aren't they? But with only 5 million barrels released a day from them, then it might be that the oil price might be kept relatively elevated, which keeps inflation in the picture as well. So as I say, we're going to be a bit earlier today, but let's get to the quiz and do this today, because we got no Jeff and we've got no market really, as we've got. As we got Thanksgiving. There you go, John. Hopefully that's giving you some power there.
Yeah, it's got some power.
How are we going?
I'm good. It's good. Yeah.
That's great stuff, mate. Pound Kiwi.
Yeah. I did something I learned from you, so that was pretty cool. I watched you sort of not put everything in all at once. I thought, oh, that's quite interesting. And I was in on the wrong side, and I was on a buy and it was selling off. I thought, don't panic, stick by your guns. And it was coming down and down and down. And I saw 0.1, 0.1, 0.1, and then 0.1 at the bottom. My belief was that there's obviously it can go lower, but I thought, this is where it's going to turn. And I stuck with it, and
Well
it
done.
came, and it stayed there. And I thought, right, it's going to turn. Now it was. Then I thought, who's going to move first? If they open up, they'll want people to come, and the exchange rate is just not in their favor.
Well done.
And I was in. I've been in since the 13th of last month. It's the longest thing I've held.
Good, really good.
So
Um, so what you've done is really valid, and it's, you know, really to my mind, it's a really good way to approach the market, because what you're doing is you are scaling in, and scaling in, but you've got to make sure now that, but this, and I really encourage you to do some work on this, because this particular method, when you get it right, which you will a lot, is great, because you don't have to worry about sort of like having to continually take a black eye or a nosebleed because you keep getting taken out of the market. But if you over leverage and it goes wrong, you're in deep trouble. So I encourage you, you know, sincerely, to do the work on it to make sure that you don't get caught into one of those, because it has happened. You know, I've been caught in it, which is why I've refined the way I do it now. But I know somebody else that was caught on it badly and just haven't recovered. So it's a really valid way to trade, but you've got to make sure that your maths is in order.
Yeah, I've not. I got a position that I in my mind, and I've written it down. I thought, okay, this is as far as you go, and then you take the loss. So
yeah, you can't really for these ones. Are you trading an ATW account or your own?
This is my own.
Your own, okay. So for your own, you can do something else, right? For these ones, 5% is your max of your account. As soon as you go beyond that, you're done.
Yeah, no, I'm not in that zone.
Oh, you're not? Okay, fine. All right, all right.
No.
All right, that's good, mate. That's good. As long as you're within sort of like a reasonable amount of cushion, then it's a really valid way to trade. And don't get me wrong, it's great. It's a really good way to move into the market, because what I really like about what you said was you had a fundamental idea of why it should turn, and then it's going, well, I'm not going to be right on price, the entry necessarily, but I think I'm right on direction. And as long as you've got your cutoff, we go, actually, I'm totally wrong on direction here. That's where the last position needs to sit, and after that, you know, it's got to close up there, and then you can give yourself a margin of error. But if you're still within the band of 1%, then your aces, really, you're in really good shape, because you know, it's a really good way to trade. I really like that. As long as you're protecting your account and you're comfortable.
Yeah, I think with my own account and the Actions to Wealth account, I've sort of taken a process now that, right, you're at the minute you're learning the business of trading.
Yeah.
And I've taken some in the context of what it is. They're not big hits. Does that make sense?
Yes.
If I take the value of each one that's gone against me into something real, it's not insignificant, but
yes,
in a way, it's, you know, it's not even a meal out. It's not even this. It's not even that.
Yeah.
So I sort of altered the way I do the whole week.
That's really good, mate. That's really good. Do you know, and you know, we do sort of talk a lot about the you know, the technical charts and the fundamentals, but actually the mentality is really the big thing, isn't it? And it sounds to me like your head's in the right place. I don't know whether you occasionally sort of like, you know, fall off the wagon, but
I have done. But
right.
The big change, and I've got a degree in psychology, so you'd think but actually, in a way, it doesn't help.
Right. Because you overanalyze.
You do. You start thinking, well, I wonder what everybody else is doing. Well,
yeah,
it doesn't. To a certain extent, it doesn't matter. I go out for 2 hours walking in the morning. After I've looked at the trades in the morning, leave it. I might look at the London session. I very rarely do. I look at the crossover in the evening between London and New York, because with it being in KL, you can.
Yes.
You can do all three. You've got to be Superman to stay awake.
Yeah.
I don't. I do that evening. because
Yeah.
I'm also a musician and I teach English and maths. So
Yeah.
I thought, get this correct, and then hopefully it opens up, and I'll be in Brighton for a beer and say, here,
Yeah.
here's
Do
a
you know,
meal. Show me how this works. Because
yeah, well, do you know what? I mean, that would be you'd be more than welcome, mate. I mean, that's the thing. If you ever get to Brighton, then we'll meet up, and um you can squeeze me for any information you need to live. You know, we'll just meet up as mates, obviously, and yeah, just let me know when you're here.
so,
But the but it sounds good to me, mate, and I like that. I like the process. You know, getting away from the charts sounds good. Going for a walk sounds really good, and the way you're kind of managing things is great. And now you've kind of got something to kind of go on. Now you've got something to grab. At this point, your career has changed. Now that doesn't mean that you still won't have bumps in the road, but what it means is that you can recover from just about anything, and it is a moment of enlightenment. If you think you've found it, and it'd be interesting to see how this develops, but if you think you've found it, this is the big point. It's a really good place to be.
yeah, I do. I think it's good.
Yeah,
So
that's really good to hear.
I've had a couple of, especially, but
Yeah, you're going to get that. You're going to get a fat lip along the way because it's the market, right? But it's I think, as I say, if you've got your entry down, and most importantly, if you've got your money management where you are not over leveraged or leveraged at all, ideally, then you're in the right area. That's really good shape.
yeah, it's gone well.
Well done, mate.
All
right, well, let's get to the quiz. We're probably gonna have an early one today anyway, so we'll probably do quiz and shut up shop until Monday.
Host disabled participant screen sharing.
Oh, okay. Sorry, that's probably me, isn't it? So what do I need to do? Because I've got it's just you. Okay, here we go. If I do this, and I do this, and I do that, now you should be okay. You've got some power.
Aha. Oh, right. I can still see your screen.
You can still see my screen. Can you share or not?
Yeah, bang. I've got
there
it.
You go.
Yeah. Sorry, it's been okay. A different quiz format because it's the American bank holiday tomorrow, so they're multiple choice. You don't have to. You just have to look at the possibilities and grab your answer. So
multiple choice. Oh, brilliant. Okay.
Yeah, because obviously the Americans will have their thanks, giving and things. Okay, first question. Easy, I hope. What is the name of the bank holiday that is taking place in the US today? Freeze month, Thanksgiving, you owe me big time day, get ready to shop on Black Friday day.
I mean, yeah.
Well, it is, man.
Get ready to shop on Black Friday day. There's some rubbish deals at the minute. Tell you what, there's a big furore over here because there's some small firms that are boycotting Black Friday because they say they've got no chance because of Amazon. Can't compete.
Oh yeah, I did it last year. I'll do it this year as well. I pick up my 40% off TradingView.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I don't have a TradingView account.
The only one. Thanksgiving. What was the name of the ship that sailed from Plymouth, England? This is the ship that the Pilgrims took. The Rose, the Dragon, the Black Pearl, or the Mayflower?
Oh, a curveball, mate.
Lewis has gone for sea. I quite like that, but it's not Mayflower. For the Black Pearl. Which president proclaimed the 25th of November as a national Thanksgiving Day? So that's
a good question.
Yeah, that's Truman, Roosevelt the Younger, because there was two Roosevelt presidents, Lincoln, Grant, and obviously Lincoln and Grant knew each other. Oh, I like, yeah. So somebody's in on somebody's definitely on the money. Yes, that's two.
Yeah, I mean, only because he's the most famous to my mind.
It's Lincoln. Lincoln proclaimed it. Washington sort of toying with the idea.
Oh, right.
Okay, which traditional ceremony does the president carry out?
Oh, there you go.
On this day, picks a new Fed chair, pardons a turkey, goes to Camp David for tea, adds a new state to the Union.
What is he on this particular day?
On Thanksgiving Day, yes. Everybody's in on the turkey. Pardons a turkey.
Pardons a turkey.
Shit, pardons. Yeah. I was better be careful. Okay, this is a little bit more technical. What was the month and the year of the first Thanksgiving? November 1621, June 1812, August 1721, or May 1620. Oh, Paul P's on it. Gary's got it. Yes, there was, Lewis. I was tempted to put it in, but I thought it might not be good.
Pardon from,
get us in bad news, bad trouble. So everybody's got it. This one be June 18th. November 1621.
Very nice, mate.
They landed in 1620. 1812 was the defeat of Napoleon, the Battle of Waterloo. Can't remember what 1721 is. I think I just made that one up.
Oh, they're all significant dates, are they?
They were, yes. The dates. But
really good.
That's just a short one. So
that's a nice quiz, that one, mate. Yeah, nice and light, ready for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I went for a short, multiple choice.
Yeah, I like that. I like multiple choice. That's really good. A bit more typing for you, though, than anything.
No, I just pick a topic. Again, going for my walk in the morning, I can pick a topic. I can think of some lyrics for bits and pieces. So I thought, okay, that's quite a good thing. We'll try it that way. So
that's really good. I mean, you're lucky actually, sort of like being in KL to kind of have the environment where you can walk every morning. It gets a bit cold here, or wet.
Yeah, the place where I live is it's still urban, but I can get out, I can walk. Just take an umbrella if it's too hot, or if it's just
right, if it's too hot, yeah.
Yeah, because that stops you getting sunburned.
Yeah.
That one mark for right, subtract down. Yes, if I didn't keep score, but I think Gary got most of it right. I think.
Yeah, we don't know who the winner is. We do need to start having prizes for this. I don't know what it's going to be, but we need some sort of prize for this, because everything we do is free on this show, so we haven't really got anything to give away. Thank you, mate. That's really good. Okay, well, I'm going to wrap it up. I mean, we got no Jeff in, and as I say, it is Thanksgiving, so I think it's going to be quiet today. I still think that there are opportunities to be ready for going short, in my opinion, but taking some trades. And really, I think you've illustrated it well, John. I know you've managed to kind of scale into that particular position, but you were ultimately in at the end of it at the low because there was a buy zone on the longer term timeframes. And I think that's what we're really looking for. The market is in those zones at the minute. They are at those levels. NASDAQ sell zone. The S&P's a sell zone. Even the FTSE, I know we haven't looked at the FTSE today, but that's mainly because the focus is so firmly fixed on what's going on with the US. But it is quiet today, and I don't know. You guys are probably looking at your MT4 and seeing the numbers moving, but they are literally just, I don't know. They're so slow. it's just going to be like that. So keep your powder dry today. If you're trading today, I think you'll find it very, very frustrating to try and make any money. So be aware of that. And if I were you, I would just get ready for tomorrow or even potentially next week.
Yeah, I just look at the market. I look at the computers at 9:30.
Yeah. Me too, mate. I'm going to be sort of switching down and not bothering after this. I think we should all take a day off, and the market has allowed us the day off today. And you know, this is the thing to do. Anybody's in a losing position, just don't worry about it. The market will be there tomorrow and for the rest of your life probably. So you know, don't worry about if you're in a losing position today. Try and turn the things off and clear your head. Or if you're in a winning position, turn it off, clear your head. Or if you're not in a position, do some research, then turn it off and get ready for tomorrow. All right, guys. Thank you so much for your week, for the couple of days this week. Have a great Thanksgiving. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Lewis. Thank you, John, for the quiz. It's me actually. I think I am looking after me today. So thank you to me for looking after me, and thank you to Jeff. And happy birthday to Jeff. It's Jeff's big day today. We didn't even do a happy birthday song, John.
Oh no. Have I got a
you haven't got anything to hand now. That's all right. Well, big happy birthday to you, mate. Oh, here we go. Thank you, John. I'm sure he'll watch back the recordings at some point, but big happy birthday to the big man.
I am a musician.
Well, we know all musicians, even musicians need a bit of practice to tidy up. Thanks, guys. Have a great weekend.